Oh, hey everyone, welcome to your weekly reading, except for when I don't make the weekly readings. It is snowing outside, it has been raining, we have had all kinds of weather here in Oregon. And hasn't that just been in such keeping with the astrology, I feel like? So this week, it's like there are some weeks I'm super stoked to come and talk to you and be like, yeah, there's all this energy to work with and la da 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 da. This week, Neptune is coming in and like it is a family member that you did not want to come in with all of their bags and stay in the house for forever. That's how this week feels. It's like Neptune is up in everyone's business. We got a Neptune Cazimi. We got a Mercury Cazimi. We got all kinds of stuff happening that makes life feel not so clear, not so easy. It's almost like there's nothing to grab onto. There's no strongholds of this week. It's very Piscean. It's very dreamy. It's very Mars is squaring Neptune. And when that happens, it's like, where are the war lines? Where are we drawing the lines in our lives right now? It can all feel really hazy. It can all feel really confusing. It can all feel like everything that we're taking in right now takes on this very snow-like structure where it's there. You can see that it's there. It's very powerful, in fact. But if you try to hold on to it, if you try to grasp onto it, it melts in your hand and becomes a whole lot of nothing. So don't sign contracts this week. Don't make agreements this week. It's lovely because Venus is changing into Taurus at the end of this week. And so that'll be our reward for a lot of, hard to hold on to thoughts. Listen to me, I'm not even like being able to express myself very well this week. And I knew it was going to be thus, but I wanted to make a video because I often think in times of great confusion, which this week might feel like, where there isn't a lot of momentum necessarily to be had and there isn't a lot of clarity. It's about how can we surrender? How can we just take a minute and be in silence? How can we allow energy to move us without having to have any attachment to how it's going to move us? It's just here and moving. It's just the snow collecting. But then if we try to grab it, it dissipates. That's kind of this week. Neptune is about all kinds of things, but I find it to be a really important transit this week because Saturn moved into Pisces, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is in itself extremely dream related, extremely psychic, extremely intangible. It's like the things that we can see through, but they're still there. Jellyfish and snowflakes and raindrops and windows. They're there, but they're not there. There's a barrier, but it's softer. This could create confusion. This could create fights, especially with that Mars squaring Neptune. It could create discontent, that feeling of all of those old paintings that you see of the people in the paintings that just look like bored, that are just like on the couches with their arms like, it can kind of feel like that. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense. I've been sick over the last bit of time. But what I think is really important in weeks like this, that you don't have a stronghold on, that you don't have, a great sense of, is like, where do you want your senses to go? Like, can this be a beautiful palate cleanse of like not having to be any certain way or think any certain type of way? Can we sit in our own soup? Can we stew for a little bit? Can we be okay with like not having the answers for a little bit? Can we think these really deep thoughts without them having to mean anything in the long run? That's what I think of when I think of this week. And I think of confusion, and I think of boundary crossing, and I think of deep dreams. But mostly I think of feeling as though we've taken some steps back. If we were so forward based and so much energy was going down, what do we do when the energy makes us stop, makes us halt, makes us not feel confident in making any kind of decision? Like, I feel that for us this week. See, it's going to feel kind of like a fight. It's going to feel a little tense. It's going to rock our worlds. We don't like to not know. You know, in this society, it's like we're always able to be gotten a hold of. We all have cell phones. We're all connected. We're all talking all the time. We're all on social media. We're all doing all of these things. It could be a Twitter storm, right? Someone could like super blow up the Metroverse and say something really dumb. It's like not being careful with our words, not being all of these things. It can create all kinds of problems. And so, you know, if the week feels sticky, if the week feels unpredictable, if the week feels like you don't really have a grasp on what's going on, like that's okay, because Neptune is sassy that way. You know, she doesn't want us to know all of the things. And there was something to be said for those years where there weren't cell phones, for times where you had to wait for your favorite show to come on Friday nights at 8 p.m. And there's something to be said for these cyclical times in our lives where we become unreachable even to ourselves. And that can feel like a struggle. That can feel like we need to, you know, insert defense mechanism here, whatever it may be. I think that it's really easy to resist when something doesn't feel understandable. Like if we can't grasp it, we try harder, you know? And the medicine and the magic that can come when we stop fighting, when we stop trying to understand, when we stop forcing our perspective, or we stop thinking that we are the only people in the whole wide world that matter. You know, it's this time and moment to when conflict rises to start getting really comfortable in the unknown spaces of our psyches, because there's a lot of stuff we don't know. There's a lot of things about to happen that we don't know. There's a lot of untangible forever in life. And on weeks like this, it brings those insecurities up. It makes it harder to communicate with our partners and spouses and friends and family members and all of those things. And depending on where it hits in your chart, it's going to make it hard to feel like there's forward progress. And doing anything where you have to, like, you know, if you're an accountant this week, sorry, that's not going to feel good. If you're someone who has to come up with tangible things every single day, this week is going to feel a little bit challenging because there just isn't a lot of clarity going on. And sometimes when there's confusion and no clarity, there is war. There are times where we don't want to hear the other side. There are times when we get our back up and we get defensive and all of that stuff. And it's normal. You know, it's normal. It's the things that we don't understand. Wars are fought over religion because there are things that just this mortal body cannot comprehend or understand. And fighting against it only kind of makes it worse, or pushing your point, or having to be right, or needing things to be a certain way just isn't going to be so this week. And how do you get righteous with that? How do you put your weapon down? Because our defense mechanisms are going to be up, because we're not going to be feeling as safe as we usually are, as on top of things as we usually are. And that when we don't feel on top of things, when we feel stupid, when we feel malaligned with the universe, well, you know, any number of things can happen. So when things start to feel hard this week, I do want you to take a moment, take a breath, understand that there is great joy for us here in the non-understanding, that there is great lessons that we can learn when we're not attached to the outcome. So attachment, right? How can we be less attached? How can we open ourselves up? And you know, stuff feels weird right now. Saturn just changed signs. We're going to be feeling that. It's a big change. Saturn going into Pisces, Neptune stuff happening. It's like all of the sudden, all of the things that we thought were sure, all of the structures we thought we built with such good material kind of start to erode. And then how does that make you feel? Like, what does safety look like for you? What does understanding look like for you? What does a week lived without structure look like for you? You know, can you let the monkeys of your soul run wild a little bit and not need to know the answers? Well, you'll have an easier week if so. Can you allow yourself to not need to know this week? You'll have an easier week. I mean, but we can always choose this card. We can always choose to like boundary up. We can always choose to have an edge. We can always choose to not allow. And when we do that, we tend to set ourselves up for a little bit of a harder week. Like, that's just how it is with all of this Neptune stuff. Neptune rules our dreams, the unseen, the veil, all of the things that are intangible. And I think that this modern world needs things to be tangible to feel safe. So our safety's up. How we view the world is up. The snow collecting outside is up, and there's nothing we can do about it. So how do you surrender to the not knowing? How do you surrender to the next chapter that hasn't been written yet? Are you the type of person that looks forward to the next chapter, or are you the person that fears the next chapter? These are the themes that are going to be brought up. And engaging actively in this magician type behaviors, these feelings that we can recreate ourselves over and over again, that really the intangible is where the magic happens, is where the things that take us by surprise, that are the best moments of our lives, happen here. Then we can work with this energy a little bit better. I was just listening to one of my teachers from the Nightlight Astrology, and he said that the astrology that's going on right now hasn't happened, and was happening though, in the Salem witch trials. How about that? Like trying to take things that we can't explain and explain them in a way that is incredibly damaging. Right? We all get to make that choice. That's big news bears, but in our small news realities, like, why do you always have to be right? Why does what you think matter more than what other people think? Why is the truth something that matters more than the heart? These are some things that I ponder as we're going into this very inescapably dreamy, untangible week. But then we get to end it really lovely. Then Venus does lovely things, and it moves into Taurus, and it wants stability, and it wants peace, and it wants love. So get through the week, you guys. Get through the week, allow yourself not to know, and then accept the love that comes when we can be a little unsafe for the week and land in the weekend in our blankets and our sheets and our music and our food and our loveliest of things that make us so happy to be in partnership with, and take it as it comes. I know that that is my goal. We'll see how it goes. I'd love for you guys to like and subscribe to my page or this channel, to comment how your week is going. What has felt intangible for you? What has felt totally like hard about this week? What is feeling hard about this life right now? I would love to hear from any and all. I welcome the insights. May you have a peaceful week. May you find joy in the unknown and respect in the fact that it's all out of our control anyway. Take care.